I think, do whatever you can to keep your feet on the ground. Don't read your notices. Don't read the good ones. Don't read the bad. Those words sound like quiet wisdom earned through experience, not something a child should ever need to learn. Yet Hayley Mills learned them early. Imagine being a teenager who worked 12-hour days, believing the millions earned would secure your future, only to discover later that almost all of it could vanish without your consent. That harsh reality would come much later. At the beginning, her story looked like a fairy tale. Hayley Mills was born on April 18, 1946, in Marylebone, London, into a world still bruised by World War II. Britain was gray with rationing and recovery, but inside the Mills household, creativity flourished. Her father, Sir John Mills, was already a respected actor, and her mother, Mary Hayley Bell, was a writer. Their home in Denham Village was a gathering place for artists, writers, musicians, and thinkers. Conversations stretched late into the night, and figures like Noel Coward passed through as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Growing up in that environment, Hayley absorbed storytelling without realizing it. Her older sister Juliet and younger brother Jonathan rehearsed lines around the house while their father prepared for film roles. By the age of 5, Hayley was already mimicking expressions she saw on screen. At 8, she entered Elmhurst Ballet School, where discipline was strict and days were demanding. She didn't resist it. Instead, she felt drawn to the rhythm and structure, sensing, without fully understanding, that she was being shaped for something larger. Her first encounter with film sets came quietly. At just 10 years old, she appeared briefly as a baby in So Well Remembered, 1947. The role was tiny, but the impression stayed with her. She spent time at Pinewood Studios watching her father's films take shape. There, she witnessed the transformation of ordinary people into characters. Seeing Alec Guinness under heavy makeup unsettled her. It showed her how completely acting could change a person. That moment planted something deep in her imagination. At home, life was modest and shaped by post-war simplicity. At the studio, she saw controlled chaos, lights, cameras, and carefully constructed emotion. These two worlds could not have been more different, yet Hayley felt pulled between them. She didn't chase fame. Instead, she grew curious about the space where reality and performance met. Everything changed when she was 12. A casual family picnic introduced her to director J. Lee Thompson, who was searching for a boy to star in Tiger Bay. One look at Hayley changed his plan entirely. He rewrote the role for her, unknowingly opening the door to a life that would bring extraordinary success and unimaginable cost. Tiger Bay changed everything for Hayley Mills. Filmed in the decaying Cardiff docks, the movie demanded emotional weight far beyond her years. She played a child who witnesses a murder and refuses to reveal the killer. Without formal acting training, Hayley relied entirely on instinct. Her tears were real, her fear unforced. When the film was released in 1959, it became a critical success and revealed a kind of honesty on screen that audiences instantly trusted. The performance caught the attention of Walt Disney himself. After attending a quiet London screening, Disney offered Hayley a 7-year contract without even requesting a screen test. She was just 13 years old. The salary, £250 a week, was enormous for the time, especially for a child. Overnight, Hayley Mills became a Disney star. Over the next few years, her life accelerated beyond anything she could control. Reporters followed her constantly, asking invasive questions about her appearance and personality. Her mother often had to intervene, reminding journalists that Hayley was still a child. Despite the glamour, she was learning how to protect herself before she had fully learned who she was. Her breakthrough role at Disney came with Pollyanna in 1960. At 14, Hayley traveled to the United States for the first time and stood face to face with Walt Disney. She recited the Glad game from memory, and Disney immediately understood what audiences would feel. Her warmth felt natural, not rehearsed. The film earned $3.5 million in the US and turned her into an international star. Behind the scenes, the work was physically demanding. She endured bruises from repeated falls and bicycle scenes, often going home in pain. Yet the bond she formed with co-star Jane Wyman added emotional depth to the film. That quiet connection translated on screen, making their relationship feel genuine. The rewards followed quickly. In 1961, Hayley received a Juvenile Academy Award, becoming the youngest non-competitive Oscar winner in history. She also earned a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. But success came with limitations. Disney's exclusive contract prevented her from working with other studios until 1966. While she became wealthy and famous, her creative freedom narrowed during the most important years of her growth. At the same time, the studio began shaping her image. Disney executives insisted she fix her teeth for a perfect smile. They controlled her clothing, posture, and public behavior. Even makeup was restricted to preserve a youthful appearance. The pressure took a psychological toll. At the Pollyanna premiere at Grauman's Chinese Theater, thousands of fans crowded around her. Surrounded by cheers, Hayley felt her chest tighten. That night, she experienced her first panic attack. In her memoir, she later described standing in the middle of celebration while feeling completely alone. Still, she pushed forward. In 1961, she took on one of her most demanding roles in The Parent Trap, playing identical twins. The technical precision required was exhausting. Long hours, repeated scenes, and flawless continuity. Hayley carried the weight with discipline beyond her years, proving she was more than a charming child star. Yet, beneath the bright Disney image, something fragile was forming. Fame had lifted her high, but it was already teaching her how lonely the spotlight could be. By the time Hayley Mills turned 21, she believed her future was secure. Years of relentless work, 12-hour days, childhood sacrifice to film sets, and global fame had supposedly built a trust fund worth nearly $17 million. It was meant to be her safety net, proof that all the discipline and pressure had led somewhere solid. Then, in a single meeting, everything collapsed. Her lawyer explained that the British government had seized 91% of her earnings through post-war tax laws. Nearly £2 million disappeared overnight, leaving her with barely a fraction of what she had earned. The shock was devastating. The money had not been reckless spending, it was protected, or so she had been told. To Hayley, it felt like theft sanctioned by authority. Though she briefly won a legal ruling in her favor in 1972, the House of Lords overturned it 2 years later. The loss was final. What vanished that day was not just money, but trust. The emotional impact rippled through her life. In the early 1970s, Hayley developed bulimia, a silent struggle born from years of image control and pressure to remain eternally youthful. While filming Endless Night, she lost nearly 20 pounds as the disorder tightened its grip. On the surface, she remained composed. Privately, she was unraveling. Her personal relationships reflected the same imbalance. At just 20, she entered a relationship with producer Roy Bolting, who was 33 years older and married. The affair shocked the public and, as she later wrote, ended her innocence. They married in 1971 and had a son, but the relationship collapsed under infidelity and emotional distance. A second marriage followed and failed quickly, deepening her sense of instability. Yet Hayley did not disappear. Instead, she rebuilt herself through work that demanded honesty rather than perfection. Theater became a turning point. Flying across the stage as Peter Pan in 1969, she felt reborn, strong, fearless, and free. Later performances brought critical acclaim and restored her confidence. She no longer needed to be the smiling Disney child. She could be complicated, flawed, and real. Television roles in later decades introduced her to new audiences who had no memory of her early fame. Shows like Good Morning Miss Bliss and Wild at Heart revealed a mature actress drawing power from lived experience. She aged without apology, something Hollywood rarely allows women to do. In 2021, Hayley finally told her full story in her memoir, Forever Young. The book exposed Disney's control over her image, the pressure to alter her appearance, and the long-hidden battles with bulimia and financial betrayal. Readers expecting nostalgia found honesty instead. The response was overwhelming. Now nearing 80, Hayley Mills stands as more than a former child star. She is a survivor of an industry that profited from her innocence and tried to silence her pain. By speaking openly, she transformed loss into purpose. Her story is no longer about what Hollywood gave her, but about what she reclaimed.